Hey guys, Nick here with another video. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to be looking at this 1994 Mazda RX-7, not detailing it, not fixing it, just driving it. Now this is not an ordinary Mazda RX-7. Aside from the obvious differences you can see on the body with the wide body kit, the wheels and tires, this car has an LS6 under the hood. Now I know these cars can be a little bit controversial, so I decided, since I got the opportunity to drive one, that I would take an objective look at it and decide what I think. First impressions as I get behind the wheel of this thing. It's loud, feels like a race car, it's real stiff. I forgot my sunglasses, but it wants to go fast. It is an exciting car. The speed limit's a little slow through here, so it's going to be a minute before I can really turn it up, but I'm excited. So, the Mazda RX-7 is not a car that needs much of an introduction. The 1993 model year introduced the third generation with a twin-turbo rotary engine. Now, as the years went on, reliability started to become an issue that a lot of people were concerned about. And that's when people started swapping engines into these things. So this obviously is not my car, and I don't really know the way it behaves. I'm trying to be careful, trying to be very careful while I get the hang of it. So I'm not going full throttle. I don't want it to step out on me on this road. I obviously am trying really hard not to crash it, but I'm also trying to enjoy it a little bit. This thing's unbelievable. It's crazy. This thing is so fun, so fast. Busy road with cyclists and mountain bikers, and there's a lot of cars parked here, so unfortunately I can't really open it up, but that's probably for the better. It'll keep me in check a little bit, but we can still get a pretty good idea of what it's capable of. This engine has been popular among enthusiasts for a long time because of its lightweight. It's a very solid engine, very reliable, and it produced a lot of power. In 2002, 405 horsepower was a lot, and I know that nowadays that doesn't sound all that impressive, but at the time it really was. It was a whole new level of overkill. It was part of GM's marketing scheme with the LS6. Now, one of the big gripes that I see online when people put an LS engine in these cars is that it throws off the weight distribution, that the RX-7 was super well balanced and super lightweight, and that's what made it such a great car. But the owner informed me that the car still has a perfect 50-50 weight distribution, and on top of that, the car only weighs about 100 pounds more, maybe less. I think he said it came in around 2,800 pounds on the scales. So I don't know off the top of my head what the stock RX-7 curb weight was, but this car weighs about 2,800 pounds, and all he had to do to keep the 50-50 weight distribution was relocate the battery to the trunk. So when you look under the hood of this thing, you'll see that the engine is pushed so far back against the firewall, and it's using a Hinson subframe, and that was part of the way that they set it up, was to move the engine as far back as possible to keep the handling characteristics of the car. And I believe that on the dyno, this put 400 horsepower to the rear tires. So you can do the math here. 50-50 weight distribution, the same weight, and 400 horsepower. This car is a perfect recipe for a whole lot of fun. Harness because the car doesn't have a seatbelt anymore. So for my own safety, I know it's not generally kosher, but that's why I'm wearing the harness, in case you were wondering. Some people leave the seatbelts in their car when they put in a racing seat. This owner did not do so, so that's why I'm wearing the harness. Trying to maintain my composure a little bit while I drive some of these turns. You know, I want to be able to push the car a little bit, but oh yeah! Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo! This car is unbelievable. Gosh, this is just, the more I get used to it, the more confidence inspiring it is. I mean, at first, you know, if you're not used to a car that drives this way, it's a little rickety, but man, it hangs on, it grips, and it just goes. The throttle response is instant. You know, it's just amazing. This is a really impressive vehicle. All right, so I'm back in town. I ditched my sweatshirt because it's warmed up a little bit, and I'm running this thing with the windows up and no fans on, so the audio hopefully is audible. And you know I've been saying this whole time that this thing's real rickety and loud and not a great daily driver. But you know, it's maybe not as bad as I was making it sound. I feel like I want to walk back some of what I said. Driving in town, you know, it's stiff, and when you hit bumps, you definitely feel them. But I'm a person who daily drives an old 2003 Mini Cooper, and this isn't much stiffer than that. I would say it drives about on par. It's definitely louder, no doubt about it. But that's to be expected. This thing actually, all things considered, drives pretty good. It obviously has a stiff suspension, but I don't mind cruising it. It definitely gets attention, so if that's not your thing, maybe you wouldn't like this car quite as much. But the big reason I came back down into town is so I could check out the throttle response rolling onto the freeway here. So I'm going to downshift a second. As soon as I hit this on-ramp, we're going. Woo! This thing is a rocket. So, should you LS swap your FD? That's completely up to you. Do I think it's the wrong decision? Absolutely not. Do I think it's the right decision? Not necessarily. I think that for the person who enjoys the history of the rotary engine and the person who keeps their car as more of a collector, it makes sense to keep it the way it is. You can still get a lot of power. You can still really enjoy the car. I'm not really in a place to say whether this is better than a rotary RX-7 or if the LS swap is better. But I am hoping to get my hands on one in the near future and we can do a more apples to apples comparison. I do plan to bring this car back on the channel. I may even do a detail on this car to get the paint shining well. So stay tuned for those episodes. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And we'll see you in the next one.